Hey, what's up guys? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. You know, over the years I've used lots of different knives from Mora, but today we're going to be using the largest one that I've ever owned. This is the Mora Bushcraft Pathfinder knife. Let's start off and give you some details here. 8.8 ounces is your weight, and it's an 1/8 of an inch thick. You can see that it does have this kind of black coating on the blade. It is carbon steel. Your end-to-end length, let's measure it and actually show you what it looks like on camera here. So from end to end, you're looking at almost exactly 12, a little bit less than 12, I would say 11 3/4 maybe. And then as far as your actual blade, you're looking at 6 3/4, maybe a little bit more than that. This knife does come with the standard grip that you're going to find on all their bushcraft knives. So it's got a little bit of texturing here, here, and up top. I wouldn't even call that jimping. It's just going to give you a little extra grip. It is a rubberized coating. This knife, as is true with 99% of the Mora knives, is not a full tang knife. They do have that new full tang that came out this year at SHOT Show, but the tang is going to run probably down to about here in your knife. Another thing that's a little bit different about this blade is that it's wide and then actually gets wider and then thins out at the top. So that's just going to be different than a lot of the other Mora knives that are out there. And the other thing I'll just let you know is that it's certainly longer than a lot of Mora knives. A lot of your Mora knives are going to come out to probably about here, and now you've got an extra maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and again that thickness or that width of the blade makes this knife a bit different. As far as the balance, when I have held it, it certainly is going to be front heavy or heavier toward the blade just because of the length of the blade, but it's certainly not terrible. There is no lanyard hole here, which I think would have been a great addition as far as if they put some sort of lanyard hole. You could put a lanyard on, and then because the knife is longer and slightly heavier at least, it might be a little bit more effective in doing some mild chopping. Let's talk about the sheath here real quick. This is actually ballistic nylon, but it's very durable. It's probably some of the most durable ballistic nylon that I've ever seen. So it's likely stitched more closely or double stitched or however they put it together. It's basically just much more firm and solid than a lot of other ballistic nylon sheaths that I've seen out there. So you do have a snap here, retention. You can see it says Mora knife there. There is a plastic liner inside the sheath. You do have 2 grommet holes down here on the bottom, so you can attach it to gear, and 2 grommet holes here on the top, so you can also attach it to gear. Flipping the sheath over, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 loops that run horizontally, and then a 5th loop up here. Essentially what you're going to do is this piece of webbing that is stitched in up here runs down, goes through these loops, and then comes back up. So I would have basically been running my belt through here. There is a little bit of movement, but it's not I have no concerns about the webbing coming undone and me losing the belt. Very, very solid. And that's set up so you can run it in a variety of different ways. You can attach it to a pack, molly gear, you can attach it to other items. You know, using this webbing system with the grommet holes, you could certainly use paracord if you wanted to do that as well. Here's a look at the knife in the sheath and on my belt. You can see there's plenty of movement, so when you step up over a log or you're going up a hill, it's definitely not going to get, you know, jammed up on your leg. I don't have any concern about this coming off just by the way this is woven back through. It's just not going to pop off. And then with the knife in the sheath and on my belt, here's what it looks like to take it out. And you can see that when you do remove it, you're going to have to hold on to the sheath in most cases. You can try it without. It's going to definitely ride up a bit. So it's easier just to grab the bottom of the sheath and remove the knife. All right, let's put this thing to work. Start off just maybe a little detail work here. Got a very dry piece of wood. You can see it's hanging up even as I'm starting off here. It's kind of the classic feather stick challenge here for a knife. Now when I make a feather stick, I'm generally using that portion of the blade here, not way out here, but I will try it just to see how it works. But I can tell you that when I'm doing it here, it does feel like there's a lot of blade sticking out here when it comes to this little detail work. Obviously it gets the job done. One of these little curls. See, that's certainly no problem for the knife. That's what that looks like. Certainly no surprise that a Mora is going to get those nice fine curls if you want to get a fire started or something like that. We're going to work on a little batoning here, and I generally like to get wood that I find in the woods for batoning. I do see the advantage of cutting some nice round pieces of wood to see, you know, how the knife splits a really wide piece of wood, but for me, if I'm batoning, I'm probably in the woods and I don't have, you know, nice, perfectly even cut pieces of wood. So that's why I find these scraps around. This is something, you know, I'd be more likely to baton. So let's try this out. My baton is pretty soft, so we have to get another one. And I've definitely hit a knot there, but let's try to press it through here. Yep, I got through. There's that. Flip it over here a bit. Here's a quick look at some of the wood I batoned, and it definitely did the work. And I would also say I didn't have any concerns, you know, that the blade was going to bend or snap or anything like that. I wouldn't be batoning through something that was, let's say, 5.5 inches, just because I just think that would be probably a use for this knife. It could probably handle, but I think it would be a bit too aggressive for my liking. So, you know, smaller than that, you know, 5 inches, 4 inches, etc. That would definitely be something I would be much more comfortable batoning with this knife. All right, let's do some chopping here, and I'm going to hold it first like this, and then we'll choke back further on the handle. I can already tell you holding it here is just, it's not going to really work. You're just not getting enough leverage, so you got to choke back further on the handle. If there was a lanyard hole in your lanyard, even better, but at least choking back a little bit with my 2 fingers hanging off the end. Here's a look at what we did in some of that carving, and it definitely gets the job done, as you can see. Just from holding the knife and using it, I can already tell that it's got a 90-degree spine, but we'll just show you that it definitely will work. I'll just lock it in here and then get this little pile of tinder started. So yeah, certainly no problem with the spine. Gonna work great with the fire steel. I've been really racking my brain trying to think about, like, who is this knife for? Who would like it, who wouldn't like it? Here's my conclusion. If you like the Mora Bushcraft, but you want a larger knife, this is the one for you. Now that may be Captain Obvious here, right? But for some people, they really like what the Bushcraft series has to offer, but they just want a longer blade. Now, one of the things you're gonna have to realize about this compared to some of the Bushcraft knives is that this doesn't come with the fire steel. It does come with a ballistic nylon sheath as opposed to one of those hard plastic sheaths. It doesn't come with a sharpener. So you're gonna be losing things and gaining things. But if you really like the Mora Bushcraft series and you want something larger, and then additionally, maybe you wanna invest in a couple other pieces of gear to add to the sheath that you have here, or to get a custom sheath, then this could be a really good option for you. For me, I've liked using this, but I would just prefer one of the normal size Bushcrafters or Bushcraft knives from Mora. I just, I don't find the extra length that advantageous. When a knife gets longer like this, I want to see it also have more weight, and Mora just doesn't do that. They don't offer a knife that's super heavy. So yeah, I would let Mora do what Mora does best, which is their Bushcraft series, a little bit shorter on your blade, but it's going to be easier to handle, and it's not trying to do things that it's, you know, that are beyond its capacity. But I'm talking about my preferences, you know. So maybe you're someone who's like, no, I definitely want a longer blade, but I don't want something that's going to be a chopper. I don't want something that, you know, is a massive heavy knife. Well, then maybe this is the right knife for you. I would definitely say the kind of feel of it is, it's a Bushcraft knife from Mora with that extra length and a little bit of the extra weight, and then you're going to be saving probably some weight on the Molly sheath, just because it's not going to be as heavy as one of those plastic sheaths. Probably not a huge difference, but a little bit lighter at least. So once again, this is the Mora Bushcraft Pathfinder knife, and it's going to run you around $60, $65. You can pick it up on Amazon. I put links down below, and certainly I always want to encourage you, if you got a local store that you can support that sells outdoor gear and things like that, you can certainly head over there and pick one of these up there if they carry it. Thanks for checking out the videos. More videos coming soon, including some new knives coming out of Blade Show 2016, so stay tuned for that. Take care.